My next guest is going to be back in action fighting Rose Namajunas, UFC Atlanta, June 14th. Happy to welcome back Miranda Maverick to the program. Miranda, how you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me again.
Yes, it's good to talk to you. I think I'm like most people. I was a bit surprised this fight got put together. I figured if you were going to fight Rose, it would be for a championship. Tell me how this materialized with you fighting a girl that you've trained with the last couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, a matchmaker calls for a fight, asked me if I want to take it. It's pretty much always yes. Called over to her and her coaches, and they had already said yes, so it was a go. Yeah,
Okay.
we've been training together, sparring together, wrestling, grappling, and it ended up being one of those things where it was like, we're not going to turn down a fight. We'll be friends before, we'll be friends after. No bad blood.
Gotcha. So just to do the sequence of events, Rose already accepted, then you got it, and you're like, okay, let's do it. Did you guys talk after, or take me through that conversation?
Not really. Honestly,
Okay.
it was like I got the call from my manager, told me about the fight offer, and I was like, awesome.
Mhm.
And then I called Pat, and he was like, hey, I know what you're gonna say, but we already took it, no problems. And I was like, all
Okay.
right, we'll be friends before and friends after. And Rose was in the background and just agreed and was like, see you soon.
Okay, well there we go. It all sort of worked out that way. How does training camp work now? Because I know she wasn't like your main training partner, but take me through how camp looks like now without not being able to train with Rose, and I'm sure some other people as well that are maybe training with her.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, she was my main training partner for sparring
Oh,
and
she was?
everything.
Okay,
So,
gotcha. Yeah, just
yeah,
making sure.
so we just she wasn't my main training partner for like jujitsu or anything, but for sparring particularly, we were. So all we did is she has her own primary gyms. I have mine own primary gyms. I would go over to Genesis Academy where she primarily trains for sparring.
Mhm.
And we basically said, all right, let's just split the camp. The sucky part is I have a lot of teammates that do train with us both on a typical schedule. And so now that's been kind of split up.
Mhm.
But I have my key training partners that I use, and then I stay over at Easton for my jujitsu and everything instead of going over there. And I spar at pound for pound Muay Thai now.
I know between the two of you, it's not weird at all because like you guys are both business, when it comes to fights. But how would everyone else? How have they reacted to this? Because I'm sure people do feel a bit weird where maybe someone's helping Rose but is friends with you. Like, how does that work?
I think most of them are just like, "Wow, weird fight." And then they're
Yeah,
just like, "Hey, how do you feel about it?" They don't
right.
seem to really care other than like, "Huh, weird that they put locals together." But it's like, yeah, we don't
Okay.
care. When the Tracy fight happened and Maycee dropped out, and then Rose ended up fighting Tracy instead of me. It was one of those things where Tracy took a while to renegotiate her contract with them
Mhm.
to end up taking that fight. So kind of last second, her own team, when I had been training with her that day, was like, "Do you think you would take the fight if worst case scenario?" And I was like, sure, if you guys would want me to do that, I'm down.
Okay, cool. Well, I'm glad everything kind of worked out. And again, I know it's been tough for you to get fights as well. And that kind of goes back to my next point. December, I know you had your last fight. I imagine you wanted to fight sooner than this, or was this by design?
No, for sure. I wanted to fight sooner. Ideally, I wanted to fight on the April card that was in Kansas City. That was kind of my dream fight, I guess you'd say, and ended up not happening. But I'm happy. I got a new contract. We're getting ready to
Oh,
fight in June.
nice.
It's gonna be a heck of a fight. Yeah, I was on my last, like, once I got scheduled, I was ready to renegotiate. So that's what we did, and I'm excited. Time to start climbing. We've been waiting a while for this, and it seems like every time I get a ranked opponent, they drop out, and I end up getting somebody unranked. So about time to prove myself.
That's great. How long has it been now you've been in the UFC? Because I know you and I have been doing interviews even before you were in the UFC, and this is I don't know what contract now. If I had to guess, like contract number 4, like that's got to feel
I
great.
think so.
Yeah,
Yeah, it is great. And I think June 2020 is when I got into the UFC and signed my first contract. So
awesome.
pretty exciting. Been in here like 5 years, and it seems like I should already be where I'm at in 2 years. So I need
Yeah,
to keep working, keep climbing, and put my stamp on it, and finally making good enough money that it's making a good living for my family, which is nice too.
that's awesome. So you've been in the room with Rose a lot. You probably know her better than anyone else. Stylistically, how's this fight looking on your end?
Yeah, listen, I'm not going to give away too many of the details, but we do know each other very well. We both kind of know what we're going to play with. We know the defenses to certain things. So it's going to be one of those exciting ones where we're both trying to counter each other's counters, so to speak. So been focusing on some key items that we know that work and some things that we know don't work against her that I need to fix. So we're trying to do that. And I'm sure she's in her corner doing the same thing.
You mentioned your training partner sort of stuck with you. Who are you working with? Who are some of the bodies in the gym that's helping you get ready for this one?
Yeah, honestly, it's been a lot of the guys in the gym that are smaller. I have Austin, I have Alex, and then some of the girls are Catherine Lehner. She's getting ready to fight for for Invicta coming up soon. I think it's actually next weekend. So that's been one of my main training partners, Kylie. No like huge names anybody know, probably Cat's the most one, but we've just been working with what we've got and making it work, you know?
Yeah, for sure. And I'm sure there's some names too we're going to be hearing about in the next little bit. I mean, you were one of those names, right, at some point. So, you know, as far as like, you know, soon to be household names, which makes sense.
Exactly.
You always make weight. How's all that going ahead of this fight as far as the weight cut?
It's going really good, you know. The weight's no problem at all. I don't really have any complaints about that at all, and I'm so sorry about her crying in the
Yeah, no
background.
worries. Yeah, what is in the background? Just by the way.
That's my daughter. If you haven't seen it already, we
Yeah.
adopted a few weeks ago, and
Oh, amazing.
yeah,
Okay,
it's been
cool.
great. Yeah.
So that's great. How's let's mention that as well. How is motherhood going? You know, that's something new for you this camp, right?
Big time, you know, sleeps low, but that's kind of a usual thing it seems for having a newborn. But my husband's doing a great job of taking care of her at night to where I don't have to deal with her and get kind of low sleep.
Yeah.
So I've been getting all the sleep that I need for fight camp. Other than that, I take care of her during the day. I've even taken her to a couple of the trainings, and she usually sleeps right through them, which is nice.
Amazing. That's great. And you can multitask. I love that you could do the interview and do that as well. I've had it too, where like I have to like close the door in my office or my kids will come in. So I
I'm
can
so
relate.
sorry.
No, don't worry. No, listen, of all people, I understand. Trust me. I had my son walk in on a scream a couple weeks ago. So it's going to happen there. It's all good. Your corner, what will that look like for this fight? Because I imagine it is a little bit different with obviously fighting Rose.
No, the exact same.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Elliot Marshall, who is the Easton Training Center lead, so he's always been my head coach. He will continue to be. And then Justin Houghton from Pound for Pound Muay Thai, as always. And now I'm just sparring mainly over there instead of Genesis. And then my dad.
Okay, excellent. How's this fight playing out without giving away the game plan? How do you see it unfolding?
Man, I don't see it as being a finish in the first or second round. If I do, it's going to be a worn down in the third round, I think. But I can see this going to a decision pretty easily. She's tough. She's not a girl that just like taps under pressure, and she's not a girl who just gives up.
Is it kind of business as usual after this fight? Like everything will go back to normal? Have things because of this changed going forward?
No, I think that it's going to be the exact same. You know, I'll be back to training and sparring with Rose, I think, no problems. And that's where we kind of just discussed it right away when the Tracy thing happened. You know, it's like, let's just take the fight. It's business. We're trying to make money. We're both in the same sport, and we're both really good training partners for each other. So it works perfect. You know, we've done it to where I'm able to go orthodox for her when she's had camps. You know, when she was getting ready for Maycee, I was her main training partner because one, I had fought Maycee. Two, I have a similar stocky build, and pretty much, I guess you'd say, like, have better striking than Maycee, have better grappling and all that, which I hope that's a future fight. We'll see, since she's in Denver as well, playing the game, running around the gyms, trying to find a home.
Yes, that's true. Well, speaking of which, Erin Blanchfield, Maycee Barber, what do you think of that fight? Who's taking that fight in your opinion?
You know, I'm going with Erin. Maycee has shown improvement over the years. Erin did have a rough fight with Manon, but other than that, she looked awesome. For instance, against Rose, she looked great. So I'm going to go with Erin.
And as far as this fight, like if you get the win here, you know, Rose is a former champion. I know at 115, but that looks really good on the resume. We saw Manon Fior, you know, obviously get a win over Rose, and she got to fight for a title. I know she beat Erin in between there too, but you get what I'm saying. Like if you beat Rose, that really looks good on the resume. Where would a win sort of put you in the grand scheme of things?
I'm hoping up there in the mid range of the top 10, you know, at that number 8 level or something like that, and maybe just a couple more fights before title contention.
What did you think of Valentina and Manon over the weekend? Close fight. Valentina gets the win there. What did you think of her performance in that fight?
Yeah, I actually didn't get to watch it, unfortunately.
Oh, no worries. No, I bet you got a lot going on. Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I don't get to watch the fights very often. I do my best to go back and watch them when I can, but I was handling business.
For sure. Yeah, I recommend. Well, I mean, obviously you're going to watch it, but it was a good fight. I actually really enjoyed that one. But here's the thing that's kind of messing everything up potentially. What do you think of Weili Zhang potentially moving up and fighting Valentina next? Because there's talk of that right now. Her moving up to your weight class.
Yeah, I think she can move up, but I think Valentina's still going to retain the title. I honestly thought Manon had a strong shot at taking it from her, so I am looking forward to rewatching that. But yeah, I don't think that Zhang is going to take the title back, but I do think if she wanted to stay within the flyweight division, she could be up there in the top 5 to 10.
And I think your last loss, and again, there was a lot that kind of went into that fight. It was against Jasmine Jasudavicius. Obviously, she got a big win on the weekend, finishing Jessica Andrade. I'm sure you at least saw the result of that. But is that a rematch you see happening down the line? Because I think people forget you got your eye busted up pretty early in that fight, right?
I did, and I'd love to have a rematch against her. I like Jasmine as well. She's a real nice girl, and that's been a loss that, regardless, has really shown itself well. You know, she's done an amazing job. Jessica was one of those fights that I wanted to have too, and then right after I had asked for her, like 2 weeks later, Jasmine ended up getting booked with her, and I was like, well, dang. But it was a great fight. She's had a lot of great fights. She's on quite the win streak right now, so she's doing well. I don't understand how she's able to stay so active when all of us are begging for fights just as often as she is, but is what it is. I do hope to get that back along with, my other losses that are all in the top 10 right now.
Well, you just got to get Canadian citizenship, and then you'll get more fights, right? I think that'll
Man,
work
I
out.
guess. I
Yeah,
guess as
something like
long
that.
as you're foreign and you have the fight in that foreign country.
Yeah,
I get it though. I mean,
yeah.
the US just has so many athletes. Nobody really stands behind the athletes in the US.
Yeah, it's different. I think because again, like there's so many more, other sports that are going on too. I think people get lost in the shuffle with that. Did you see Bo Nickal losing a couple weeks ago? Because that was a big thing, obviously.
So
Undefeated
I
wrestler.
did rewatch that one.
Yeah, so let me know your
That one.
thoughts on that because obviously that was a bit of a hot topic with, Bo saying some things maybe pre-fight he shouldn't have said, and then he loses. And now the fans are all after him right now.
Yeah, that's gonna happen though. It wouldn't matter if he hadn't said anything. The fans are gonna be all after him. This is a very unforgiving sport. Fans are really rough. You could be the best in the world, you could never lose a fight, and then you lose one 10 years down the line, and they're gonna be like, wow, you suck. So
Yeah.
it's one of those things where I think Bo is kind of just starting out his career. He's had the fast track in the UFC. He's done an amazing job, and he lost to somebody that's a really good fighter. So I don't really see that as a bad loss for him. He's
Hmm.
going to learn from it and I think get better. And I think he still has his sights set on gold. And I wouldn't doubt if he'll have it one of these days.
And I guess another big thing for you this year is just sort of keeping active. Like, again, if you can get something quick after this, I know you got other things going on. You got your business, you have motherhood, all that stuff. Is the plan to just, kind of be as more active as you can?
Listen, I've been trying to be more active, but now that I have Renegade, I'm actually not going to be trying to do these short notices. I've
Yeah.
always been ready for short notices, always stayed lean. That's not saying that I wouldn't be ready 4 months afterwards or anything. I'd love to keep fighting 3, 4 times a year, but I'll just wait for the call and I will ask for a full camp, at least like a 6-week camp. I won't be taking any more 2-week notices, especially at the ranking level I'm at, unless it's some huge opportunity.
All said. Okay, before we get out of here, how are the businesses going? You selling the honey, the pickles, everything. Like let's end there because I know that's a big part of what's helping Fight Camp and everything else, right? Is your business that's going very well.
For sure. Yeah, I've got my farmers markets. I've got the gun shows that I go to with it. It's prowlerpickles.com. If anybody that's watching or listening wants to check it out, I've got pickles, I've got jalapenos, asparagus, apple butter, and then all kinds of different honey flavored and regular. It's going pretty well, and I'm hoping to continue growing. Obviously, while I'm still fighting, it has to stay at somewhat of a minimal level, and then after that, I'll make it take off.
There we go. Anything else you want to plug before we get out of here? Social media, anything else you got going on? I always like to give you the last word.
I will have some new merch coming out in the next week or two, and it'll be on my website, fearthemaverick.com. So everybody go get that before my fight.